Hello and welcome to the video for constructive response with examples and tips. Today we are going to practice scoring constructed response. You will be looking at some real student examples for this prompt. Grade them and determine what was done well and what needs improvement. Use this information to rewrite your response. If needed, at any time, please pause the video to really consider how you would score each constructive response example and then resume the video. The text is The Test by Theodore L. Thomas. The prompt: what is the significance of the line, his rubber heels slid along the two grooves worn in the floor, in paragraph 15? Support your response with evidence from the text. Let's unpack the prompt. What are you supposed to do? If needed, pause the video now to consider this question. The mode is to identify something. The mode is the type of writing that you'll be doing. Task: what is the importance of a quote in the story? The task is what you're going to be writing about. Keywords help you to identify both mode and task. What tells you that you need to identify. Significance tells you that you're looking for the importance of that particular quote. Support with evidence tells you that you need to use text support in your answer. Stop the video now if you have not read the text, the test, or completed a close reading of the story. If you have completed both one reading and a close reading of the test by Theodore L. Thomas, please continue to look at some student examples. Example 1. My birthday is coming up in February and I'll be 16. I don't think that I want to get my driver's license. I'm afraid I'm going to get in a car accident like the guy in the story. What's worse is that he didn't even care. There are too many crazy people on the road, and the story shows that they could hurt someone and still drive again. That's scary. Is the writing written clearly, using correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation? Give 5 points of yes and 0 points of no. The reading: did the writer show understanding of both the passage and the question? Was the question fully answered? Give 5 points for yes and 0 points for no. Support: did the writer use at least 2 direct quotes punctuated correctly? Is there an explanation for how the quotes support the answer? Give 5 points for yes and 0 points for no. Score it. Pause the video if needed to consider how you would score this particular constructed response. Despite all issues with the response, including the lack of text support and the need to proofread the grammar and the spelling, the major issue with this particular prompt is the reading. It does not address the prompt at all. The student writer should read with purpose. Consider what the prompt is asking you to do. What is the task? Also, what is the mode? Your job in this particular response is to identify the significance or importance of a quote, not to give an opinion about driving. Focus your response. Make sure your response is focused on the task at hand. Answer the question completely using text support and also making sure that you're answering all parts of the question. Example number 2. The importance of the quote is that it shows Robert Proctor didn't want to go. He was probably in a hospital or something and really crazy. He was imagining things that didn't happen, like a car accident. I think that he was taken to a place to get help because he was sick. It says in the passage that somehow the sight of them made him angry. It was talking about 2 men in long white coats. They must work at the hospital, and Robert is mad even though they want to help him get better. Consider the writing, the reading, and the support for this particular response. And then score it. Would you give this a perfect score? One of the major issues with this response that jumps out is about reading the passage and really understanding the passage. You want to make sure that you read closely and read carefully. Take notes as you're reading, annotate the text. Read and read again. Do a close reading to make sure there is no misreading of the passage. The main character is not in a hospital, and the main character knew what he was getting into before he entered the room that the reader finds him in. Example number 3. I think the quote means that a lot of people were given away, like the guy who was in the fake crash, and it's like the doctor said, we do it to everybody these days before they get their driver's license. Makes better drivers of them. Makes drivers more careful for the rest of their lives. Remember it now? Coming in here and all? And then they took him away in rubber shoes and white coats, said that they'll fix you up. Like other people had gone to sign before, and it was bad because it was like they died, but they drove away, so then they go to the place and probably get medicine, see doctors, and then it's better so they can drive some other time, like the doctor told Robot that you can try again later. How would you score the writing, the reading, and the support? Take a minute to score it. Pause the video if needed. One of the major issues with this particular response is the writing. You want to make sure that you polish those writing skills. There were a lot of run-on sentences. I almost ran out of breath. Watch your word choice. Vary it if needed so that you're not too repetitive. Also, in a response like this, don't use text talk, PPL for people. Make sure that you spell out the words. Sentence structure. Again, watch those run-on sentences. Make sure you're punctuating correctly. Citations. Do not put direct quotes inside of anything other than quotation marks. They do not belong in parentheses. Transitional words. Transitional words will move your reader from one idea to the next and is not an appropriate transitional word to use all of the time. Proofread. Go back and check for errors in spelling and grammar. Example number 4. The floor in particular is worn out, which probably means there was people who previously failed. Those previous people, including Robert, felt the same way, feeling as if they were good enough to drive but were unbothered by the events that played out around them during the simulation test, which caused them to be dragged away to have treatment on them, also titling them as sick. Grade the writing, reading, support, and score it. Pause the video if needed. This particular response is lacking support. Again, some of these responses do have other areas of weakness. I'm just pulling out tips that would help with the major area that needs improvement in each constructed response. So for this one, definitely finding some support to back up ideas. Direct quotes are going to do exactly that. They'll back up your answer. They're going to convince the reader that you're right. Direct quotes belong inside of quotation marks. Again, don't put them in parentheses, don't highlight them, don't put them in bold or capital letters. Inside of quotation marks shows that it's a direct quote. Example number 5. It shows that many people were taken before as well. Evidence. This is all part of the test, isn't it? We can't let your kind run around loose anymore, but don't you worry, son. They'll take good care of you. They'll fix you up. You're sick and need treatment. We can't let your kind run around loose anymore. Grade the writing, the reading, the support, and then score it. So for this one, there are some technical issues with writing, but some of those issues could be fixed up if the format were corrected, because we have support for the answer. We have a clear answer that's punctuated, capital letter in the sentence. So all of the writing issues really go back to the format. Make sure that you restate the prompt in your answer, that you're addressing all parts of the question. And then answer the prompt. And this student writer had done that. Examples were cited from the text, yes, but where things start to go awry is in the explanations. There are no transitional words moving from the student's answer into the citations, and then from citations into explanations. Make the connection for the reader. How exactly do the quotes that were chosen support the answer? Example number 6. It means that he is not the only one that failed the test because there are grooves where there must have drug other people through there. In the last sentence it says, as they pulled his rubber heel slid along the 2 grooves worn in the floor. Also, the man said they hypnotize everyone these days, so there were others. In paragraph 9 it says, we hypnotize you to make you think you were in an accident. We do it to everybody these days before they get their driver's license. Makes better drivers of them. Makes drivers more careful for the rest of their lives. Remember it now? Coming in here and all? Consider writing, reading, support, and score it. The support should be clear and complete. This response is a little bit confusing. The format and the structure is there, but you want to pretend that you're writing for an intelligent 7th grader. Pretend that your reader doesn't believe you and you have to convince him or her that you're right. You need to make the connection between the text support and your answer. Pretend that your reader is lazy. Make the connection between your quote and the answer for your reader. Some stuff to consider. Look at the prompt again. What is the significance of the line, his rubber heel slid along the 2 grooves worn in the floor, from paragraph 15? Support your response with evidence from the text. Unpack the prompt. Mode, the prompt is asking for an identification. The key word is what? The task, the identification should focus on the importance of a quote in the story. The key word here is significance. The importance ties into the theme or message of the story, so it's an important part of the story for a particular reason. Consider why there are 2 grooves worn in the floor. What are grooves? How are grooves made? And what can we conclude about how the grooves were made into the floor in the first place? Also, find 2 to 3 examples from the story, direct quotes that you can place inside of quotation marks that support your answer. And then you'll come up with a perfect score. The significance of the line, his rubber heel slid along the 2 grooves worn in the floor, paragraph 15, is to show the reader that this is something that is often done. Another example of this is, we hypnotized you to make you think you were in an accident. We do it to everybody these days before they get their driver's license, paragraph 9. This direct quote from the passage tells the reader that the number of people undergoing this test is great, as people are always going to want to be able to drive, even after traumatic experiences. Another quote from the passage that supports this idea is, "We can't let your kind run around loose anymore," paragraph 13. This shows that these men and their colleagues want to gather up all of these people whom are supposedly failing their driver's test because they have the driver and determination to still want their licenses. The writing is clear, correct. There may be occasionally 1 or 2 little typos in a perfect response, and that's okay, and nothing to worry about too much, but in general, you should make sure your writing is clear, complete, and correct. With the reading, it does show an understanding of both the passage and the question. The question is fully answered with both support and explanations. The support. Yes, the writer chose at least 2 direct quotes. They are punctuated correctly. She's even included citations, which is not necessarily a requirement for this type of response, but it's good to see those examples there. There are also explanations for how the quotes support the answer. So for this response, we will give it a 15 out of 15, the perfect constructed response for this particular prompt and this particular text. As you write more and practice scoring, you're going to improve your writing. You only learn to be a better writer by actually writing. Everybody needs a little help sometimes, so if you still have questions, ask your teacher. Thanks for watching.